us this afternoon, and thank you for your interest in our project. I will now quickly run through today's agenda and then get the session underway. Okay, looks like there's a lot on the agenda, but there isn't really. So first up is the welcome and housekeeping, a quick intro to Scottish Enterprise, an introduction to workplace innovation, what the programme requirements are, what the programme outcomes are, a little bit about the procurement process, what the next steps are, and, excuse me, the Q&A. Okay, so again, so welcome to our pre-procurement engagement session for the procurement of the Leadership Development Programme. I think as Francis has already said, can you please make sure that you are on mute until the Q&A? If you've got any queries, can you either keep them to the end if you want to talk to us about it, or if you would like to drop them into the chat as we move through so you don't forget them, then either or works fine for us. As you've already been told, the session is being recorded and we'll upload the slide pack and any Q&As to the pin on Public Contract Scotland. All information from the pin stage will also be available on the contract notice when this is published. So moving on into the intro to Scottish Enterprise. For those of you who are not familiar with our organisation, Scottish Enterprise is Scotland's national economic development agency and is a non-departmental public body of the Scottish Government. So Scottish Enterprise supports businesses to innovate and scale to transform Scottish economy by focusing on new market opportunities through targeted investment, innovation and internationalisation. I will now pass over to Helen, who will give you an introduction to workplace innovation.
Great. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Hi everyone, I'm Helen Noble, the Workplace Innovation Team Leader, and I'm joined by my colleague Vivian Simpson to give you the detail behind the procurement that we're discussing today. I'm Team Leader of the Workplace Innovation Team, and this procurement is a core part of our service to companies. The Workplace Innovation Team offers support to companies around a wide range of people development areas. So we focus on all people aspects of businesses, particularly leadership and management development, introducing new workplace practices, helping companies to innovate, change their culture, etc. Our service is a core part to Scottish Enterprise's missions. So you can see on the screen there, we've got 3 missions that are our core strategic priorities over the next few years. These link really strongly to Scottish Government economic policy as well. The Scale and Innovation mission is focused on helping companies grow and scale through innovation and adopting new technology, and particularly looking at new international markets. Boosting capital investment encourages companies to invest in new capital equipment, new capital premises, and increase productivity, which in turn moves jobs up the value chain. Our third mission is the accelerating energy transition, so supporting companies to move into new markets, diversify, and look at the opportunities that are there within the energy transition sectors. Our support specifically links into each of these missions in terms of driving their achievement. As boosting capital investment, we're looking to encourage the ambition and risk-taking mindset of leaders to invest in new capital equipment, new premises, and grow through capital investment. Through scaling innovation, encouraging that innovation mindset within leaders and also an innovation culture within their organisations, and look at how they can look at international markets as part of their growth ambitions. And thirdly, accelerating energy transition. So again, that mindset to look at the opportunities within these growing markets, look at what capabilities they've got, and for leaders really to drive change through their organisation by looking at these opportunities for their businesses and for their growth. In terms of this procurement, so if we go on to the next slide, So this procurement, the leadership programme is a core part of our service, as I mentioned, and it sits within our Leadership Academy. Our Leadership Academy is the umbrella under which we offer all of our support to businesses, both one-to-one bespoke support and also our programmes such as this leadership procurement that we're discussing today. The Leadership Academy aims to increase the risk, ambition and mindset of leaders across Scotland, encourage them to grow through internationalisation, innovation and investment, and also to increase that broad capability of leaders across the business space in Scotland. Our ambition is to support the development of 1,000 leaders over the next 3 years. Through extensive research, the team have identified some gaps within the current provision of leadership development support, and these gaps align around the supporting the delivery of our mission outcomes. So the specific leadership capability gaps that we're looking to address through this procurement and this new leadership framework are ambition and risk. So as I've mentioned, we recognise that many leaders are risk averse and they're not looking at international markets, they're not considering investment. So we really want to change that ambition and give them a growth mindset and increase their risk-taking capabilities. We also want to look at leadership capability and confidence, so give them the confidence to grow beyond their current markets, increase their ambition, and look at different ways in which they could grow. So what are their investment options, for example? And really focus on strategic vision and planning, so ensuring that businesses and leaders have a really clear strategic vision for their business and they have a plan to execute that. So these are the 3 gaps that we've identified through extensive research, both looking at Scottish delivery, at global market trends, and that we want to look at through the procurement of this new leadership framework. I'm now going to hand over to Vivian, who's going to take you through the detail of the procurement that we're focused on today. Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you. So in order to address the gaps that Helen has mentioned, we're looking to commission a framework agreement to deliver a refreshed leadership development offer to the market. So the framework will comprise of 4 single supplier lots. The first lot is looking at transformational leadership. So this will be a cohesive leadership programme with a stream for emerging leaders and a separate stream for established leaders. Each stream should have consistent core themes, but we have tailored content to reflect each group's unique needs and experiences. The second lot is looking at innovating leadership around AI, data and emerging tech. With this lot, we're looking to provide the skills to empower leaders to be able to embed AI, data, emerging tech into their strategies and to foster ethical leadership, along with closing the skills gap and driving internal innovation in a tech-enabled world. The third lot is around growth through risk and ambition. So the aim for this lot is to support leaders in evaluating growth strategies, embracing risk as a catalyst for innovation, and exploring strategic options like investment, mergers, and ESG-aligned finance, whilst also encouraging a culture of learning through experimentation. And then our final lot, lot 4, is focused on leadership in times of geopolitical and economic volatility. So we want to help leaders build resilience, agility and foresight to lead through uncertainty, global disruption and change, all while staying focused on long-term sustainability and stakeholder trust. Some further programme requirements here. So we want the content to be based upon up-to-date leadership theories and research, and it needs to be future focused in terms of its approach to leadership and development. As noted on the previous slide, Lot 1 will be delivered at 2 different levels to reflect the career stages of delegates. So there will be one stream for new or emerging leaders and a separate stream for leaders who are more experienced and tenured. The core themes need to remain consistent across both groups, but the content and delivery needs to be adjusted, taking into consideration their particular needs and experiences of the 2 different demographics. And then lots 2, 3 and 4 will operate as standalone learning programmes, each addressing a critical area identified through our research and direct feedback from businesses. These lots will operate independently from one another and from lot 1. So candidates might only attend one of the 4 lots, they might attend all 4, or they might attend a mixture of the lots dependent on their learning needs. This will be a national programme and it needs to be accessible to companies across all Scottish enterprise operational areas, and as such suppliers need to be able to demonstrate their capacity to deliver consistently and effectively at scale. If you're unsure of our geography areas, please consult our website where we have more details there. And in order to ensure accessibility and flexibility, the framework needs to be delivered using a hybrid model, so a combination of in-person and virtual format to suit a diverse participant needs. All of the lots and programmes are required to include a diagnostic tool along with coaching, and we are also looking to appoint 4 suppliers to deliver this leadership development framework, so essentially a different supplier per lot. Oh, my slide's not clicking. Here we go. On this slide, we've laid out in a little bit more detail about the items that we're looking for under each of the lots. It's quite broad in terms of the themes that we've listed there, but that's to provide you scope to design a suitable programme. And in terms of the workshop hours and coaching hours, we've provided information here on what our expectations are around each of those. But you'll note that the lot 1, because it's delivering to 2 different streams, there are different hours allocations for the established leaders and emerging leaders, recognising that our established leaders will probably work at a more in-depth level and therefore require more time for both the workshops and the coaching sessions. Next up, so we've got our objectives here that we're looking to be delivered as an output of the programme. So leaders should be able to come away from the programme with enhanced risk appetite, strategic thinking skills and investment ambition. We want to see increased in capital investment, innovation and productivity. We're looking for improved self-awareness and personal development of values-based leadership styles for them to be able to strengthen their strategic and resilient leadership capabilities, to foster innovative, inclusive and high-performing workplaces, to establish measurable outcomes to evaluate their leadership impact, and to embed digital, AI and volatility readiness into their business strategies. And in terms of expected outcomes, we're looking at between 450 to 650 leaders to be developed over the course of the 4 years of the framework. And we're looking to see increased capital investment, innovation, investment readiness and productivity, increased ambition and clearer strategies to pursue international markets, and a stronger alignment with Scottish Government and Scottish enterprise strategic goals. That was a lot of S's in one row. So I'll pass over to Alison now, who will take you through what the expected procurement steps are.
Thanks, Vivian. So as Vivian says, I'm the procurement contact for this process going forward. So the next few slides will give you an idea of what to expect in terms of the process. So first of all, the tender will be advertised on Public Contract Scotland, and that will be in the form of a contract notice. In order to access the tender documentation, you'll have to register on the PCS portal. We're going to be using Route 3 of the Scottish Government procurement journey for this process, and therefore, sorry, there was some interference there, and therefore this will fall under full procurement regulations. We'll use the open process on this occasion, which means that any interested bidder may submit a full tender submission. So bidders will be required to complete the single procurement document, also known as the SPD, and they'll also need to provide a response to the invitation to tender. The SPD must be completed online via PCS, and it should be submitted along with your tender response. The SPD gathers relevant background information on the bidding organisation, and it includes selection criteria such as financial requirements, technical and professional ability, climate change, amongst other things. All requirements in the SPD do need to be met in order to progress further in the process. In terms of the ITT, this will also include some additional selection criteria such as the GDPR requirements, real living wage, and also information security requirements. There'll be award criteria, and that's likely to include Fair Work First, project team structure, methodology, and innovation. As part of the award criteria, we'll also be assessing communication and engagement skills in terms of delivery of the workshops. So this will be in the form of a presentation to the evaluation panel. There's also a standard criteria for prompt payment. However, this is only relevant where subcontractors are proposed in the delivery of the work. And it's a Scottish Government requirement to ensure that lead bidders will pay any proposed subcontractors in the supply chain within a 30-day period. So we'll provide further detail on the requirements of each of these criteria in the ITT. As part of the tender pack, we'll also provide a tender response template. This template should be used to complete your tender submission, and it also helps to ensure that all the requirements have been addressed, and it helps us with our tender evaluation as well. Could I have the next? Thank you. There will be an opportunity to ask questions during the process, and these should be submitted via the question and answer function within PCS. All questions and answers will be anonymous and will be published for everyone to see. This helps ensure that the process is fair and transparent. Questions can be submitted up until about 8 to 10 days before the tender deadline. The deadline for questions will be confirmed in the ITT and the contract notice. In terms of award of contract, any award will be based on the most economically advantageous tender, which isn't easy to say. This is also referred to as MEET, and it's a combination of the total scores for both price and quality. So for this process, scoring of tenders will likely be based on a ratio of 60% quality and 40% price. This is a standard ratio that we use to ensure best value. As you're aware from the previous slides, there'll be 4 separate lots for this framework. So bidders may bid for 1 or more lots, but they can only be appointed to 1 lot. And this will be based on the highest ranked score for each lot. Further detail will be provided in the ITT. So I'll move on to the next slide, please. Oh no, I think I've missed one. If you go back. Yeah, terms and conditions. So as this is a framework, we're going to use the Scottish Enterprise Terms and Conditions for Framework Agreements, and these will apply to any framework agreement awarded as a result of this process. The terms and conditions are available on the Scottish Enterprise website, and a link is provided in the slides. The full terms will be included in the ITT when published. I hope this information on the procurement process has been useful. However, if you need any further guidance on Route 3 procurements, then you can access this from the Scottish Government Supplier Journey. Again, the link is provided in the slide here. We'll also give bidders the opportunity to attend some aligned tender training. This will be held early January whilst the tender process is live. The training will be online and hosted by the Supplier Development Programme, and it will provide bidders with guidance on the process and how to complete the tender documentation. Again, further details of this session, including the date, will be provided in the ITT. I'm ready for the next slide now. So in terms of next steps, here are some key dates. However, please note at this stage these are estimated, but they will be confirmed once the tender process is live. So the contract notice is expected to be published around the 10th of December on Public Contract Scotland. And the tender itself will be open for at least 30 days. So the anticipated deadline will be the 20th of January. And this timescale also takes into account the close down period between Christmas and New Year. The aligned tender training will take place early January 26. We anticipate the framework agreements will be issued to the successful bidders early March 26, with a start date of the beginning of April. The duration of the framework will be for an initial 2-year period with 2 optional extensions of 12 months each, so potentially a maximum duration of 4 years. And as Fran said, the slides along with questions and answers raised during this session will be made available on the PIN notice on PCS as soon as possible after this session. And this will ensure all interested suppliers have the same information. Also, if you've got any further questions after this session, then you should submit these via the PIN notice up until 5 o'clock on the 2nd of December. And if we could go on to the next slide, please. So finally, we'd like to thank you for attending today and hope you've found it useful. And we can now move on to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Perfect. Let's just stop the recording there. And now it's over to you guys. Now is your chance to